सर कई बार आपने गैंगों का नाम सुना होगा।
हाँ
जो किसी जमाने में हमारे यहाँ मुंबई वगैरह में भी हुआ करती थी।
हाँ,
गैंग
हाँ,
वॉर जिसको कहते थे। गैंग आपस में लड़ रही है, उत्पात मचा रही है,
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल
लोगों को ब्लैकमेल कर रही है।
बिल्कुल
अच्छा
बिल्कुल।
ऐसे ये अमेरिका की एक वीडियो आज हम देख रहे हैं, शिकागो की।
अच्छा
अच्छा
और इस वीडियो में ये वहाँ की कुछ गैंग्स के बारे में बता रहा है
अच्छा
और वहाँ की गैंग वॉर के बारे में बता रहा है।
अच्छा।
तो मैं चाहता हूँ आप खुद इसे देखें, समझें और इस पर अपनी प्रतिक्रिया दें।
क्या सब ये जो गैंग का जो नाम आप अपने बता तो गैंग हमारे यहाँ भी ये गैंग वार का मतलब यही होता है कि ये जो अपराधी प्रवृत्ति के जो आदमी है जिनको ईमानदारी की कमाई तो बिल्कुल पसंद, इनको मजा आएगा तो सिर्फ हराम की कमी में या ये इसी में मजा आएगा। ये लोग इतने इतने बड़े वो होते हैं कि इनला बच्चों को दे सकते ना, बड़े को देते इनका एक एक अगर मेरे ये काम करे तो ठीक नहीं तो इसको तो मानना है। ये काम है लोगों का।
यार बाबू भाई
हाँ।
मेरे को एक बात से हैरानी है
हाँ।
कि अमेरिका देश
हाँ।
जो सबसे जाना माना
हाँ।
देश और वहां पर भी ऐसे मामला चल रहा है यार।
यार भैया इसलिए जानना माना देश वो अमेरिका का हो सकता है, लेकिन हर जगह कहीं ना कहीं ये सुना होगा कि हर जगह कहीं अच्छे है तो कहीं बुरे भी हैं। तो ये है कि अपने वो चीज़ की है कि अपने जगह है और वहाँ उनको बाकी आपको मिलेगा हर जगह। एक जगह अच्छी एक जगह बुराई क्या तो वो कम है भैया।
मेरा ये मानना है कि अच्छी बुरी चीज जो हर जगह हो तो होती है, बाकी वहाँ का प्रशासन सो रहा है क्या?
यार ये तेरा सवाल तो सही है यार, लेकिन ये चीजें है वहाँ का जो प्रशासन है
हाँ।
उसकी नजर में उसकी नहीं आ रही है। अगर उसकी नजर में अगर आ जाए प्रशासन में तो ये चीज वहाँ पहले तो ही नहीं चाहिए।
या तो बाबू भाई प्रशासन से या तो कटबाजी वाला मामला हो या मिलावा हो प्रशासन से तो वो भी हो सकता हो।
वो भी हो सकता। अब सब लगाइए कि क्या दिखाना चाह रहे हैं आप। चलो अब ये भी देख देते हैं।
There's a map of Chicago that nobody wants to talk about. It doesn't show train lines or bus routes. It shows a war.
The gang violence.
You ain't got no money.
This shit real. Don't
Then
play.
he just started shooting at the man on the porch.
A war that's been raging for decades across neighborhoods, parks, and even single blocks. Decades ago, Chicago's gangs were split into two massive alliances, the People Nation and the Folk Nation. But today, those two alliances have fractured into more than 100 different sets, each fighting for their own corner of the city. Using exclusive data from the Chicago Office of Public Safety,
छोटा मोटा सब समझ रहे थे कि छोटा मोटा ही होगा, लेकिन ये तो बहुत बड़ा हफ्ते वाला ये रहे थे भैया।
हाँ यार।
we've mapped all these different territories down to the exact streets where these invisible borders are drawn. From the most notorious gangs to the deadliest blocks, we've mapped it all. This is Chicago's gang war mapped.
बाबू भाई यार हिसाब से ये एक गैंग नहीं है, बाकी तो बहुत सारी है यार, तो पूरा सब जगह फैला रखा है इन्होंने मामला।
One of the more famous rivalries in Chicago's gang world is between the Black Disciples and the Gangster Disciples. Arguably their most contested blocks are on Chicago's South Side, centered around the Parkway Gardens neighborhood, or more famously known as Oblock.
I guess one thing you always hear about is the Oblock.
Is it really that bad?
वो ब्लॉक तो बहुत बदनाम है यार बाबू भाई यार।
क्या बोल रहे हैं?
We got a large crowd, got 362 in the back of the parkway. We need some crowd control over there. I need EMS now.
Oblock generally runs from 66th Street in the south to 63rd Street in the north, and then from South Calumet Ave in the west to South King Drive in the east. But much of this violence spills into the surrounding neighborhoods. Oblock and Parkway Gardens once stood as a working-class neighborhood for many black families who were migrating to the Midwest. It was even home to Michelle Obama when she was a child. But by the 1990s, gang violence grew. The nearby Harold Ikes and Robert Taylor homes were demolished, scattering all their residents and their gang affiliations into the surrounding neighborhoods. Much of the Gangster Disciples ended up moving above 63rd Street and also into the Woodlawns neighborhood.
यार जैसे मेरा मानना है कि जिस हिसाब से ये बताना है, इस इलाके में जो देखा है तो आए दिन वो
उताप होते रहते हैं। ये बात सही है।
At the time, the Black Disciples already had a strong presence in the Parkway's Garden neighborhood, which meant the Black Disciples and the Gangster Disciples were now living directly next to each other. It's said that the hard borders between the two groups run down 63rd Street and Vernon Avenue. A walk across either of these streets means that you're walking into enemy territory. At first, it was mostly just small shootings and fistfights, largely over online insults. But then things exploded in 2011 when a Black Disciple named O.D. Perry was shot and killed on the 6400 block of South King Drive.
बिल्कुल होने भी अब तैयार होते हैं यार आप तो ये मान कर चलो कि जिस हिसाब अपन देख रहे हैं कि हमारा पेट्रोल भरा खाली अपने मस्जिद के वाला काम नहीं है.
O.D.'s death became a turning point, and the Black Disciples named the block after him. O.D. Perry was very well known locally, and his death by Gangster Disciples meant a declaration of war.
We are getting reports of multiple people shot, 4 people shot, dozens of people shot,
52 people have been shot,
61 people shot,
90 people shot.
बाबू भाई ये बात तो सही है यार उनका मेन आदमी मरा तो दंगे फसाद तो ये तो होना जो बहुत जरूरी है वो किसी को नहीं छोड़ेंगे.
100 people were shot across the city.
These were deliberate and planned shootings by one gang against another.
St. Lawrence Avenue from 61st to 63rd Streets were the Gangster Disciples' main staging area, while the Parkway Gardens neighborhood from 66th to 64th Streets were the Black Disciples' main staging area. Many shootouts then took place on the intersection of 63rd Street and South King Drive. If the Black Disciples were feeling risky, then they'd venture down 63rd Street heading east. And if the Gangster Disciples were feeling risky, then they'd head down 63rd Street to the west.
लेकिन ऐसा वो काम हो गया जिसमें दो के
देश की बॉर्डर.
हाँ बिल्कुल ये वो बॉर्डर वो
बॉर्डर ऐसा घुस रहा है तो.
Dang, on 64th, 65th, and King Drive. And on 63rd, over here kind of to the left, they dirty and stuff. They be up there just stealing and doing all type of petty stuff. So we don't go up there with them. Oh no, something ain't right up there. So I had to make it known, like, because it's so close, we not from 63rd.
Between 2009 and 2015, the 63rd Street corridor had the highest concentration of homicides in all of Chicago, where most of these deaths came from gunfights involving teenagers.
A 14-year-old boy was shot around midnight.
16-year-old was shot in the chest.
बड़ा गलत हुआ यार. देखो आप जरा से ना बच्चे बालिकों को भी गोली मार दी यार उन्होंने यार. कुछ समझ नहीं आ रही है. बताओ यार.
Including 3 teenage girls.
लड़कियों को भी. ये तो किसी को भी नहीं बख्श रहा यार.
But Oblock isn't just a battleground. Oblock became an extremely well-known brand. Through rap and social media, its reputation traveled far beyond the south side of Chicago. Songs by local rappers like Chief Keef, Lil Durk, and King Von turned Oblock into a well-known hotspot of crime all across the country. But today, the most violent parts of Chicago aren't the ones that are the most viral online. The deadliest gang wars have moved, and some of them are far more shocking than what happened here. Your personal information is everywhere, from your name to your phone number to your email address and even to your family members' names. Data brokers are making money by selling that information to advertisers, scammers, or anybody who wants it. That's where Delete Me comes in. Delete Me is a service that finds and removes your personal data from these sites automatically. Once you sign up, one of the most violent areas of Chicago today is the Englewood and West Englewood neighborhoods.
Englewood on Chicago's south side once had a bustling economy of local businesses and a much larger population than it does today.
The 3 main gangs that make up these neighborhoods are the Gangster Disciples, Black Disciples, and Black P-Stones. Within these neighborhoods, the group's main borders are always changing, but generally, the Gangster Disciples dominate much of West Englewood and to the west of Oakton Park. Their main stronghold within this region is from 55th Street to the north, running all the way down to 75th Street to the south. And then mainly to the south of Oakton Park are the Black P-Stones. The Black P-Stones may not occupy the front headlines the same way the Gangster Disciples and Black Disciples do.
यार मेरी ये समझ में नहीं आ रहा कि सब जानकारी तुमको है हर तरह से उनकी चाल क्या है वो कहाँ क्या करने वाले सब चीज़ तुम्हारी नज़रों के सामने है तो फिर मेरी ये समझ में नहीं आ रहा कि वहाँ का अपनी पर्सनल आखिर कर क्या रही है अगर और ये हो क्या रही है ये समझ में नहीं आ रहा मुझे तो यार.
But they are still very dominant in the region. where control tends to be more localized in a block-by-block scenario rather than having a large expanse of territory. Although their territory may be smaller, they are known as one of the most ruthless gangs in Chicago. On November 2nd, 2015, a 9-year-old named Tyshawn Lee was playing basketball with his friends at Dawes Park. Dawes Park is on the border of the Black Pea Stones and Gangster Disciples territory, and Tyshawn's dad was in the Gangster Disciples. On that day Tyshawn and his friends were playing basketball, a man named D. Wright Boone Dottie approached the boys. D. Wright picked up the basketball, dribbled it a few times, and then gave it back to the boys. After that, D. Wright persuaded Tyshawn to leave the basketball court and come with him to the store across the street. He promised Tyshawn that he would buy him something. Tyshawn then followed D. Wright into a nearby alley that was out of view of the park. There, D. Wright shot Tyshawn.
क्या यार बाबू भाई बच्चों को भी नहीं बख्शा यार देखो यार
In Chicago today, there was a tragic revelation in the murder of a 9-year-old boy.
Probably the most abhorrent, cowardly, unfathomable crime that I've witnessed in 35 years of policing.
Tyshawn's father, Pierre Stokes, was alleged by authorities to have ties to the Gangster Disciples. D. Wright and his other Black Pea Stone brothers were going after the Gangster Disciples and Pierre for revenge over another killing that took place just days earlier. D. Wright and the Black Pea Stones couldn't find Pierre, so they took out his 9-year-old son instead.
The two men convicted of executing 9-year-old Tyshawn Lee will be locked up behind bars for decades. Dwight Boone Doty is a convicted triggerman. He was sentenced to 90 years.
उनके बीच के अंदर तो जो दुश्मनी निकलने का बच्चे को तुम मारो और ये और बदला लेने के लिए ये तुम्हें ये कई काम करे ये तुम्हारा कौन सा इंसाफ है ये सभी नहीं है मेरे को झगड़ा तुम्हारा बड़ो का तुम
बच्चों से दुश्मन निकाल रहा है यार
ये कौन सा काम है अब क्या देगा हमारे हम जंगल के हम डाकू सब समझते नहीं डाकू कैसे होते हैं उनके भी नाम वो कायदे ये कैसे बात तो जो दुश्मनी उसी से होगी बच्चा ऐसा और ज़्यादा पीछे हट जाओ उनको कोई कुछ नहीं पता भाई जो दुश्मन सामने चाहिए हाँ पूछताछ के करेंगे वो का है वो का है लेकिन कभी औरतों पे बच्चों पे गोली से क्या हाथ तक नहीं उठाया मैंने तो यार.
His accomplice, Corey Morgan, sentenced to 65.
And then the third group competing for the Englewood and West Englewood neighborhoods are the Black Disciples. The Black Disciples control much of the region to the east of Oakton Park and are especially dominant around Englewood High School. On Normal Boulevard, the Black Disciples are known to be extremely present here. Englewood High School is caught in the middle of the gang violence, and the high school struggles because of it.
Police on scene tell me this was a brawl that involved at least 100 students here at Englewood STEM High School.
At this school, every time you turn around, it's fights all the time.
Englewood High School had a graduation rate of only 62%. They also have 87% of the students marked as chronically absent, meaning they missed 10 or more days of school a year.
यार भैया ये स्कूल तक बात जा रही है तो ये तो मैं समझ रहा हूँ कि मामला बहुत ही गलत हो जा रहा है. अरे हर जगह की सबसे बड़े जो केंद्र है वो जो है वो है स्कूल शुरुआत महसूस होती है वहाँ तक अगर ये दिक्कत आ रही है तो बाकी में इससे शर्मनाक तो बात कोई हो ही नहीं सकती है.
Getting to and from school for these students can also be tricky. If you live on a Black Disciple block and have to walk home from school through Black Disciple controlled streets, it's safer to just be one of them than to be part of a rival gang or even seen as neutral. Because many families in Englewood face deep poverty and minimal access to after-school programs, gangs often fill the role of structure and belonging that schools and community centers can't always provide.
या तो जो गैंग है या तो गैंग का साथ दो और इसे फिर स्कूल जाने छोड़ दो पर ये चक्कर है क्या.
You can even see the effects of poverty in Englewood just off of the many lots that sit empty. All of these empty lots aren't random, they're the direct outcome of economic decay. As jobs vanished and home values tanked, many homeowners couldn't keep up with their mortgages. The city seized many of these properties through foreclosure and then demolished them rather than rebuilding them. This is left block after block of open grass where homes once stood.
Overgrown weeds, empty beer cans, and a lot of frustrated neighbors. The Morning Insiders uncover a pattern of vacant city-owned properties.
यार बाबू भाई इतना नुकसान हो गया तो सरकार एक्शन क्यों नहीं ले रही है यार? मेरे को ये समझ नहीं आ रही है।
यही मैं सोच रहा हूँ कि यार इससे सब कुछ हो जाएगा, पर की सरकार को खबर है।
हाँ
उसके बाद कोई
एक्शन नहीं ले रही है यार।
Fallen into disarray, leading to more than 100 complaints filed to the city just last year.
People see this, they're scared to buy here, they're scared to rent here. Clean it up and secure it.
But arguably the Chicago area struggling most with gang violence in 2025 is the Garfield Park area, or more notoriously known as K-Town.
हालात देखो वहाँ पे कैसे बन गया यार। अब वो देखो डर का कारण तो कोई आएगा ही नहीं, तो वहाँ पे धंधे पानी कैसे चलेंगे?
भाई सबको अपने जान हटा रही है क्या, और आप जान मोबाइल के अपनी जान को जोखिम में तो कोई भी नहीं
डालेगा अपनी जान जोखिम।
K-Town is a group of different neighborhoods with heavy gang violence, roughly running from West Lake Street in the north to West 16th Street in the south, and then from California Ave in the east to Cicero Avenue in the west. While the Black Disciples, Gangster Disciples, and Black P Disciples have a heavy prominence in Chicago's south side, it's an entirely different set of gangs that make up Chicago's west side.
ये तो हर ब्लॉक के अंदर अलग-अलग गैंगों का
उत्पात मचा हुआ है।
यार भैया इसको देखकर दिमाग ऐसा खराब हो रहा है। पूरा शहर की हमारे में एक कहता कि हर जगह अलग-अलग इलाके में तो मुझे हुआ है। अब ऐसा हालात में कौन रहना पसंद करेगा, कौन जाना पसंद करेगा यार।
The major gangs out of K-Town include the Black Souls, the Unknown Vice Lords, the Four Corner Hustlers, the Traveling Vice Lords, the Conservative Vice Lords, the New Breed, and smaller pockets of the Gangster Disciples and Black Disciples. In general, the two dominant gangs in K-Town today are the Vice Lords, who originated in K-Town, and then the Four Corner Hustlers, who have a large area of control around Garfield Park. In 2022, the Four Corner Hustlers were caught in a massive drug trafficking operation that was run on the block of 3900 West Jackson Boulevard, the 3900 block of Van Buren Street, and the 4000 block of Maypole Avenue, directly in the gang's territory.
अब समझ आया मैं, ये साले की क्या हरामखोर, ये हमेशा ये नशे का धंधा करते हैं और उसी का चक्कर में अपना पावर दिखाने की कोशिश है कि ये मेरा इलाका, ये मेरा इलाका, ये मेरा इलाका।
नशे के सौदागर हैं ये लोग।
नशे के सौदागर हैं भैया जी।
10 members were arrested in this operation with nicknames like Peanut and D-Nice, but the operation was run by a 38-year-old man named Nathaniel Evans. 4 others allegedly worked as shift managers that oversaw drug sales at the 3 other locations. The shift managers were also in charge of receiving the supply of drugs from Mexico, protecting the cash, and then being on the lookout for the police. The drugs were packaged in small baggies and sold for extremely cheap, usually just $10 a bag. They were going for a cheap but high volume distribution strategy.
भैया ऐसे पूरा सप्लाई चेंज हो रहा है, देख लो आप यार, तो सप्लाई चल रही है मामला।
बिल्कुल।
वो सब अलग-अलग गेनों में है सब।
Some of the drugs discovered by authorities were laced with fentanyl, making them far more dangerous. Federal authorities also seized many firearms from the gang, including 4 rifles, 4 handguns, a MAC-10 submachine gun, and a shotgun. This shows how these free markets were heavily protected with firearms, and it wasn't just some casual dealer.
क्या करो यार, अब ये बता तुम्हें, जो नशे की पुड़ी आती है उसके अंदर और मिला कर अब ये वो नशा पहले था उसमें और मिला तो समझता कि इंसान की जिंदगी क्या और कितनी घातक हुई वो चीज़ है।
तो यार
अरे बाप
बहुत बड़े पैमाने पे चल रही है।
बहुत बड़े पैमाने पे चल रहा है भैया।
The U.S. Attorney's Office today announced federal charges against 10 members or associates of the Four Corner Hustlers street gang.
We need members of the community to continue to work with law enforcement in order to help us, uncover crimes and then hold people accountable.
But even when the police cracked down on these illegal drug operations, the gangs learned to adapt. One of the new strategies of gangs in this region has been to shift their operations into vacant lots and abandoned homes.
Approximately 400 abandoned houses in the village of Dalton.
That's someone that took over someone's house without their permission, and they stay there. They do a lot of things that they should not be doing, and it should have been taken care of sooner, and it's not.
One recent example of this comes from an abandoned home on 849 St. Louis Avenue.
मतलब कहने का ये है आपको, अगर पुलिस एक्शन अगर ले भी हो रही है तो उसका भी हम
तोड़ निकाल रहा है।
On the outside, it looked like an abandoned home with boarded up windows and graffiti on the front door. But on the inside was one of Chicago's most active stash houses. Neighbors say that the house had been vacant for many years. It's owned by the Chicago Housing Authority, but it's been left untouched and unsecured. Then in 2024, it turned into what police called an open-air drug depot. Dealers started operating their business right on the front porch, where buyers would pull up in cars, hand over cash, and then drive away with the drug of their choice.
देखो यार बाबू भाई ऐसे खेल चल रहा है यार। बताओ यार बहुत बड़े पैमाने पर चल रही है मामला।
अब चपेट में को ना जवान
बच्चा ना
16 17 18 साल के बच्चे अब वो क्या जाने दुनिया कर देगी वो तो काम में है।
बताओ यार।
When police finally raided the home, they found 24 bags of narcotics hidden in a hole that was dug into the wall. This operation was all happening in broad daylight. Parents walking their kids to school said that they would see people cycling through every couple minutes. Residents who live in these areas are saying that they just can't take it anymore.
We're moving, the process is moving as we speak. I just can't put up with this anymore.
I'm completely done with Chicago.
But no one wants to be here anymore. And can you blame them? Can you blame them?
As more and more families move out, these homes often become abandoned when nobody wants to buy them.
यार बाबू भाई उनकी हिम्मत देखो यार साले ना रात देख रहा है ना दिन देख रहा है दिन के उजाले में भी बिंदास काम कर रहा है यार
These empty homes quickly become safe havens for the same activity that they were trying to escape. Today in West Garfield Park, more than 40% of the lots are vacant. But the cycle doesn't just stop with abandoned homes and empty lots. When neighborhoods start falling apart, it's often the kids who get caught in the cracks.
Because not only you gonna get killed, and them cats gonna get killed, but our kids is dying.
यार भैया अब जगह ऐसी है जहाँ सब गंदे गंदे धंधे चल रहे हैं कोई भी माँ बाप तो जाएगा नहीं कि उनके बच्चे गलत सफर में पड़े गलत धंधे पड़े भैया फिर उनका वो एरिया वो जगह उनको घर उनका छोड़ना स्वाभाविक है भैया
यानी कि उनका घर बार छोड़ने से मजबूर हो गए वो लोग
नहीं तो अगर मारे तो बच्चे गलत सफर में पड़ गए तो फिर बच्चों का भविष्य क्या
One of the most tragic stories of young kids getting caught in the gang life comes from an 11-year-old named Robert Sandifer, nicknamed Lil Yummy. Both of his parents were teenagers at birth. His mother was frequently in trouble with the law, and his father was in jail for most of his life. By age 4, Robert was removed from his mother's care due to violent abuse and was given to his grandmother, whose home had up to 19 different people living in it. Unfortunately, this new home offered Robert little protection. He continued to experience abuse and even had cigarette burns and bruises all over his body. Despite the trauma, he became familiar with the streets of Chicago.
जिस बच्चे के साथ बचपन में ऐसा ऐसा अत्याचार हुआ तो वो बच्चे का अपने देखना स्वाभाविक हो गया
सही बात है
कौन मदद करेगा भैया
By 8, he'd already dropped out of school and began stealing cars, breaking into houses, and navigating the criminal underworld. Around this time, Robert became affiliated with the Black Disciples. They often used Robert as a drug runner or to commit crimes, knowing that the legal system would often let him off the hook because of how young he was. By age 10, Robert even tattooed BDN for Black Disciple Nation onto his body. His criminal record quickly grew, and by age 10, Robert already had 23 felonies, including an armed robbery.
इतनी कम उम्र में बच्चों को और भी नहीं रहता और उसमें इतना बड़ा अपराध तो करने लगे बड़ी कर सकता है
यार बाबू भाई देखो सोबत भी खराब और हालत भी खराब है
तो फिर वो करेगा तो करेगा क्या ये करेगा फिर वो तो
Tragedy first struck though when Robert turned 11. Robert was given a handgun by members of the Black Disciples and was ordered to carry out a hit. Yummy walked up to 16-year-old Keonta Britton and asked him what gang he belonged to. Britton told the 11-year-old he wasn't involved, and then Yummy pulled out a gun and shot him in the stomach at point-blank range. Yummy sprinted away, and police quickly arrived on the scene. Only 2 hours later, Yummy came back just around the corner of where he shot Britton. He spotted 6 guys playing football. He walked up with no mask.
तो ये देख के बहुत दिमाग को दुख हुआ यार अपने देखते क्या मैं अपन तो सोचना कि बच्चे चले भी बच्चे नहीं फर्ज करोगे ये जो घटना यहाँ घटी, अगर अपने भविष्य में अगर हो तो आपके दिल पे क्या होगा,
क्या गुजरेगी अपने दिल पे।
हाँ।
ये बात तो सही है तुम्हारी बाबू भाई। इस हिसाब से कोई भी बाप अपने बच्चों को अपराधी की शक्ल में नहीं देखना चाहेगा।
Wearing a shirt that said boss, and then opened fire erratically on them. Bullets went everywhere. A parked van was hit, a house window was shattered, and tragically 14-year-old Siobhan Dean was hit in the head. Siobhan, who wasn't even with the boys but was just walking by, ended up dying a few hours later. Following her death, Robert became a fugitive, living in Black Disciple members' homes while evading police and even the FBI.
वो बच्चा देखो जाए तो उसमें बचपन से पहले ही सताया हुआ था और उसमें उन्होंने दे दी बंदूक। अब वो देखो सारा गुस्सा लोगों पे उतार दिया।
3 days after the shooting, Robert returned to his neighborhood, hoping to turn himself in. But high-ranking Black Disciple members feared that he might cooperate with law enforcement. The Black Disciples now feared that Lil Yummy was too much of a liability to keep around. Black Disciple members Craig and Derek Hardaway were tasked with silencing Lil Yummy. As Lil Yummy was making his way back to his grandmother's home, they lured him into a car offering protection. Craig and Derek then drove Lil Yummy to a railroad underpass. Once there, they shot Lil Yummy twice in the back of the head, killing the 11-year-old. His body was then discovered the next day.
क्या जिंदगी थी यार बाबू, बताओ यार।
यार अब जब दिमाग में कुछ चीज आती है ना तो फिर कुछ नहीं दिखता, तो ये कहता है कि जिंदगी या तो इस पार या उस पार।
What was he like? Bad. Bad? Like when you say bad, what do you mean? Fighting, stealing, breaking into people's houses. Did you ever see like the police coming to his house? Every other day. When you found out that he was killed, right? What did you think? I mean, it shocked me. He shouldn't have got killed like that. I mean, he didn't have to die the way he was killed, but that's the life you live. That's what happened.
Lil Yummy's story shocked the nation, landing on the cover of Time magazine and becoming a symbol of children growing up in violent, neglected neighborhoods. From Oblock to Englewood to Garfield Park and K-Town, Chicago's gang war is everywhere, shaping schools, streets, and lives. These maps aren't just data points, they're living neighborhoods with real people caught inside a decades-long war.
बाबू भाई ये तो सही बात है यार, जो बचपन में उस पे जो गलत अत्याचार हुए थे और वो इन चीज ने इसको उसमें धकेल दिया।
ये जो है ना गलत जगह जाने पर मजबूरी इसलिए होना पड़ा को अत्याचार शुरू से वो
उसमें था, वो अत्याचारों में था।
पहले तो करेगा क्या यार,
करे क्या, सही बात।
But the FBI is trying to put an end to this war. The FBI just raided Oblock and it made an entire video on it, which you can watch right here.
अभी तक हम सुनते हुए आ रहे हैं कि अमेरिका देश ये कितना बड़ा शक्तिशाली मान जाता है, वो जहाँ चाहे हमला कर सकता है, वो जहाँ चाहे जो कर सकता है। उसी के घर में एक छोटा सा शहर है लेकिन वहाँ को कंट्रोल नहीं कर पा रहा है, तो यार ये बात समझ में नहीं आ रही है भैया।
सर जैसे कि FBI वो रोकने में तो लगी हुई है और इतनी बड़ी संख्या है वो, तो वो रोक क्यों नहीं पा रही है उसको?
हाँ
मेरे को ये समझ नहीं आ रहा है।
अब आपने तो ये बच्चे की कहानी सुनी है, मैं तो उसकी कहानी को सुन के वो उसके ये देखता मैं तो ये फैसला नहीं कर पा रहा हूँ कि मैं उस पर गुस्सा करूँ या उस पर अफसोस देता हूँ, मैं ये समझ में नहीं आ रहा मेरे तो। यार भैया मैं ये मान कर चलता हूँ कि ये जो 10-11 साल के बच्चे जो है ना कहानी बताइए, मेरा पोता भी 10-11 साल का होता है, इतना बड़ा बच्चा को जो समझ सकता हूँ कि कितना बड़ा बच्चा होता होगा।
यार बाबू भाई मेरा तो दिमाग इसको देख के सुन हो गया यार, कहाँ पे वो कौन सी गेंद कहाँ पे कौन चारों तरफ गेंद फैला करके रख दी इन लोगों ने यार, दिमाग से बस के बाहर हो गई मेरे को यार।
मैं ये सही मान कर चलो को शिकागो शहर नहीं रहा, एक अपराध का बहुत बड़ा केंद्र बन गया जी। मैं जिस हिसाब से इन्होंने बताया अपन ने देखा है। अब आपसे ये सोचो साहब ये तो गैंग वाले अपना अपना धंधा चला रहे हैं, लेकिन वहाँ के जो आम जनता है, वहाँ का जो लोग रहने वाले उनका दिल पे कि क्या बेचती होगी, उनके बच्चों में भी गलत असर हो जाए होगा। आप इस चीज से अंदर खुद ही लगा लो।
देखो यार बाबू भाई जाने के वो उन लोगों पे भी देखो, उनके बच्चों पे भी किसी भी तरह ये है कि वो गलत काम में भी लग रहे हैं और वो ड्रग्स जैसे नशे में भी लगे हुए हैं और वो मर भी रहे हैं। धंधे पानी की सारी वाट लगी पड़ी है वहाँ पे।
अब इसे में किया तो क्या जाए, और वहाँ का प्रशासन जो है वो कुछ कर नहीं
क्या
पा रहा है।
मालूम क्या कर रहा है प्रशासन। अब वो कह तो रहा है प्रशासन कोशिश कर रहा है, बाकी कोशिश तो नजर आई नहीं है कहीं से कहीं तक के यार।
नजर नहीं आ रही बिल्कुल, वो तो खुला मैदान, खुला का खाता, बिल्कुल सब चीज खुली, जिसमें चाहा तो आ जाओ और आकर रोक लो, उनको तो क्या नहीं।
अब उसमें देखा जाओ तो देखो यार, उसके अंदर बताया इस कहानी के अंदर कि उन्होंने उन गैंगस्टरों ने सब जगह अपना कब्जा करते जा रहा है। जहाँ पे जो लोग रह रहे हैं ना, वो उनकी खौफ की वजह से वो खाली कर करके मकान जा रहा है कि नहीं भी हमारे बच्चों पे भी असर गलत पड़ेगा।
असर भी गलत पड़ेगा, रहने में भी दिक्कत है, ना हम किसी का आ सकते ना हमारे जैसे। बाहर नहीं निकलो तो मत, घर में रो तो ज्यादा मुझे तो मरते क्या नहीं करता, अच्छा बाहर ही निकलो,
सही
वाला काम हो रही है। बाकी सब कुल मिला के वीडियो बहुत अच्छी लगी, और इसको जैसे हमसे भी इतना ही कहना चाहेंगे कि जल्दी से जल्दी गैंग का खात्मा होना चाहिए, वहाँ पर सुख शांति कायम होना चाहिए। इसी तरह की और वीडियो साथ फिर आपसे मुलाकात होगी, तब तक के लिए बहुत बहुत आभार, बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।